Are you? Wait, are you religious?
I am religious. Yes.
Must mean Christian.
Yes, I am, and I wasn't born in a Christian family. I was born in an atheist household.
I mean, I don't really. That's interesting, but like, this could lead to some of the why you're wrong stuff.
Yeah, and also, you know, we live in a culture that's very Christian, so I mean that doesn't all completely surprise me.
Against gay people, you know that, right?
We bottom text indeed.
Oh yeah, thanks, Bad Bunny.
Like,
so why are you an atheist, Jake? I'm sorry.
Oh, do we want to talk about religion? Oh boy.
Yeah, I would love to
talk about religion. Let's talk religion.
Very, very interesting.
Why
and I don't want to talk about how religion is damaging to.
I don't have to even go into that. Like, it just doesn't make any. It doesn't even
I
make
want
any.
to hear. I want to hear why you're an atheist.
Sure, it's.
So believe it or not, most of my friends are atheists, and I am one of the few people in my friend group that is actually a Christian.
You just,
I'm interested.
And most of your friends are lefties too. It's just it's amazing that you maintain wrongness in the face of correctness, and it's strange. I gotta respect your stubbornness.
One man's opinion, but I can respect that. Thank you,
definitely just like factually incorrect on like many levels, but that's okay. So it doesn't make any sense. It's like I mean, you could give me a specific aspect, but like. So, for instance, the being that's supposed to be the moral arbiter of literally all things isn't that, and we can like we could show several ways in which
have you read the Bible by any chance? Or
oh my God, this boy right here. This yeah, okay. Have you ever heard how do you YouTube a lot?
The Bible.
Do I YouTube? What do you mean?
It's a logic explosion. Like
do I watch YouTube? Not that often. I used to listen to music.
So I am not just a Twitch streamer. I'm a little bit. They all ask this. It's really weird.
Yeah.
So I've read every word of the Old Testament and working on the New Testament of the Bible on YouTube. It's called the Hugo and Jake channel. We do the Bible Reloaded. It's a it's an atheist Bible study, and I've read it.
Atheist Bible study.
A fuckload.
That is an oxymoron if I've ever heard one.
Well, yeah, because you're a Christian and you're
wrong.
No,
it's an oxymoron, sure.
Because you're wrong about stuff. It's just so easy. So,
Jake, literally speaking, it is an oxymoron. It's just not
an atheist Bible study. No, I could study the Bible as an atheist.
No, absolutely. It's oxymoronic.
Of course, I chose to read it. Why wouldn't?
It's not a paradox, Jake.
Hold on. You chose to read the Old Testament before the New Testament.
Yeah, what a shock.
You mean the way
so wait. Are you saying that wait, hold on. I got a question. Are you saying Jesus was incorrect in the way that he read the Bible?
No.
All right. Okay.
I'm just curious that you read the Old Testament before you read the New Testament.
Why would I read the New Testament first? You need the Old Testament to have context for the New Testament. If you don't, you're like, who the fuck are these old prophets Jesus is talking about? Yeah, who's Adam and Eve? Why the fuck are we here? None of this makes any sense. What's the old law? He came not to change a jot of tittle or of what? What is he not changing jots or tittles of? Like, why did he bring the sword? What are we doing? What's original? Yeah, we need fucking Old Testament, my guy. Of course we did. So I started in Genesis 1:1, and now I'm in fucking the New Testament. We're doing the Gospels. Of course, this guy.
It would be like trying to learn about like the civil rights movement. It would be like trying to learn about the civil rights movement without first learning about, you know, the founding of America, or even just the founding of British colonies and like European colonies in the United States. It provides context.
Trump supporters all day.
I think Systemics is just pointing out that most people read the New Testament first.
Yes, that is.
That is true.
I know, but you really need the context of it. Anyway, so I mean,
Bunny, I saw your cheer. I'm glad to be of service. Anyways, continue.
Please use a sandwich cheer mode if you cheer this month. It's literally free money for the streamers. True. Truers?
Any truers in chat? Yep.
Yeah, we got them. So, I mean, your religion starts out with scientific incongruities. There, we started at that.
And first of all, I would say that most people in America don't even really read the Bible.
So,
even the people who are Christians.
I've definitely read it than most Christians you've ever met.
Most of the people who are Christian in America are Christian because they were born into it.
I would like, so I don't want to know your reasoning behind the Bible. I want to know your reasoning why you're not
a theist
in any aspect.
Okay, why don't you practice Asatru? Which is the belief in like Odin and Thor. Why don't you believe in Asatru? Why don't you subscribe to it?
Because I don't believe in it.
But why?
Because I believe it's a myth.
But why?
But why?
Because there's no factual evidence to back it up.
Oh, really?
Cool. That's the same thing that we think about yours.
Yeah. So I mean, you're like to steal cunt Ricky Gervais's line. You're an atheist too. I'm just one more point of atheist, right? Like. Yeah. Like you're literally like you don't believe in Buddhism for the same reasons I don't, but you don't apply it to your own moral system. So like, and your own cosmology. So I just don't understand why you don't apply your skepticism to yourself.
So do you believe that just humankind was just a random happy accident?
No.
I mean, random
to the
yeah.
I mean, in terms of like
in terms of an intelligence doing it, yeah. But in terms of like how systems work, between physics and biology and all of these things, no, of course not.
A long line of neutral random numbers.
Yeah, but it's not necessarily right because it's like monkeys and typewriters.
It's probability. It's not necessarily randomness.
Right. Like I guarantee there's life on other planets. I mean, we've seen
100%.
like. And I don't know.
There's life on fucking Mars. I'm pretty sure because we discovered literally
microorganisms, right? And so like there's the Fermi paradox because of the length of time and space in between things and how light travels and all the different stuff about that and like relativity. But we may or may not ever encounter other intelligent life, but from a probabilistic standpoint, we are one of many civilizations, almost certainly.
Despite the Fermi paradox.
Despite the Fermi paradox, yeah.
Okay.
Also, I would like to posit that it doesn't even matter if we are completely random, because even if we don't understand our origins, to believe in something that doesn't actually have a factual basis behind it, something that doesn't have evidence supporting it, that's no better than not knowing.
I'm sorry, I'm not laughing at you. I was laughing in a comment in the chat. Do you believe Adam came from dirt and Eve gave us a transgender clone?
That's pretty funny.
Which would be the case, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, technically.
So Eve was the first trans woman confirmed. Nailed it.
Yeah, totally.
So
where did Lilith come from?
I'm guessing you believe in the Big Bang then, and that...
Yeah.
You mean the one that's scientifically proven?
Yeah, I believe...
It's a scientific theory.
No,
but yes.
I mean, so is gravity, right?
Yeah. No.
So like,
you misunderstand. Big Bang Theory explains the fact and the observation that we
it's a bad show on CBS.
So what was before the Big Bang?
What was before God?
A concept? Well, and first of all, that's not even really a concept you can really apply.
No. But the thing is, the Big Bang says that we came from an extremely small, extremely dense, extremely hot ball of gas and matter that exploded and created everything.
No.
That is not the basic.
That's a pretty rudimentary take on it, but also.
No, I mean that is the most basic form.
It's not basic. It's just wrong. It's like saying. It's like saying the Noah's Ark story is. How many animals were on Noah's Ark?
I have no idea.
How many of each? How many of each animal?
2.
No, you're wrong. You haven't read your Bible. It's only page 4 where you could get this correct, but you chose to get it wrong. You're just wrong again, right? Because I run the Bible study and you don't read it. So like it's stuff like this where you get it, you get the gist.
No, the thing is, I'm asking you.
No, I know, but this is
explain.
Yeah, okay, yeah, no.
I can actually. I have really good information on this.
It's fine. Go ahead, but it doesn't have to. So if God doesn't have to have like a progenitor, then not necessarily speaking, the beginning of the universe doesn't either, right? Unless you can like shift the burden of proof, like you don't have it either. So like I don't think it's necessary. I think we can easily say, even if I didn't know, and we do know pretty much what the Big Bang is, and we can even see it for
I understand, but I still want you to explain to me.
Okay, go ahead.
The Big Bang Theory in your words.
Yeah. So the most rudimentary, the thing that I would break it down to the most is you could consider the initial singularity to be the best black hole that has ever existed, basically. In that, for all intents and purposes, it was everything and nothing at the same time. In that, it's basically all of time, space, matter, energy, literally everything, but compressed to a density to the point where it basically doesn't exist.
So you could posit that this is like, the leftovers of something before that, right? Like we don't
It might be.
actually know. There's also math to
For
indicate.
all we know, every black hole in the universe might be its own separate universe. That is a possibility.
It's probably unlikely, but
it's unlikely.
Yeah,
but it's a possibility.
Also, we can't find supersymmetry, and all the weights of everything after the Higgs boson came out showed that maybe the universe it doesn't confirm or deny a multiverse, which is fucking bizarre. So beyond that, there are physics that show that if you have space devoid of anything, meaning literally everything you can think of, all particle, all light, everything. It becomes unstable and shit and shit pops into existence. Like it.
But
it
so
just
you're
doesn't.
aware of the.
Oh no, Jake, that's not necessarily true. If you're talking about the scientific definition of nothing, yes, but
Well, no, that's what I am. I'm literally saying nothing. So before he started being inappropriate at Arizona State University, Lawrence Krauss is one of the people that put out a universe from nothing. The theoretical physics work.
Son of a beach. I'm not a Trump supporter, but go ahead.
Leon can maybe come in a second. It just doesn't necessarily hold up in that way. Let me get Leon in here, who wants to drop in astronomy and physics.
I would love that. Hey, Leon.
Hey, what's up?
Cool.
Quite
Tell
quiet.
me how
I'll turn you up.
wrong when I was explaining, because
Go for it.
Hey, so a little bit of a gap in the Twitch chat, so yeah.
Welcome. So the Big Bang. Explain it to us from the astronomy.
In as best a way as you can, without overwhelming.
All right, so
You goddamn physicists.
in a very simplified sense, space-time itself was a much smaller, discovered back in the 1920s via observations by Edwin Hubble, when he discovered that there appears to be a shift and that it is linearly related to the distance of a galaxy from our location. And you find that the universe started out from an initial hot, dense state. Now, the thing is, you can't really ask the question and have it make sense of what came before the Big Bang, because in most physical models, time itself, which is a component of space-time, started at the Big Bang. So, honestly, physics does not have the capacity to deal with these kind of questions yet, because in order to have both quantum field theory, which describes the microscopic scales, and general relativity, which describes logical scales, you need to have a theory of physics which combines these. We don't have that yet because
we do not have unified field theory, unfortunately.
The closest we have right now for possible candidate theories are known as quantum loop and string theory, more specifically superstring theory and or M theory. There's a lot of variations of that, and it's a big theoretical.
For the record, none of this is why I don't believe in Christianity. He asked. Okay.
So hold on one second. I'm getting to that. So Leon, can you tell me what was before the Big Bang?
Were you listening?
That's not a question.
Were you listening?
I was listening.
Then why would you ask that question that was just addressed?
The answer
You're aware of the theory of the conservation of matter, that matter cannot be created or destroyed, correct?
Except it literally can be created.
No, it's conservation. Okay, so first of all, no, that's not really a thing that exists except on the macroscopic scale in terms of like chemistry.
Yeah, and
once
you
get
do know
into actual physics,
that
no,
there is
conservation of energy only.
It's called the energy time uncertainty. It's what allows things to pop in and out of existence, called virtual.
What? Called what? You're bailing out every once in a while. You drop out. So I don't know if it's your.
Sorry, I don't know. It's probably my connection.
It could be if you go to voice and video. It could be your input sensitivity. You might be coming underneath your threshold every once in a while if you want to.
No, that's not the issue. It's just my connection. I've got a really shitty.
Okay. Devious Chilster, thanks, buddy.
If anything is missed, just let me know.
Sure.
But basically, quantum theory, there
You
is
just cut
what's
out. You
known
just cut out again, bud.
in quantum field theory. There's what's known as an energy time uncertainty, where what a change in energy time is a change in time of a certain particle or particle system is greater than or equal to h bar, which essentially means that particle-antiparticle pairs can pop in and out of existence. Like they are, the less time they can exist, and what happens is they self-annihilate. And this system that happens is responsible for what's known as the Casimir effect, which is the observation that metals, very thin sheets of metal, other in a vacuum, are drawn towards one another, because higher energy particles appear and annihilate outside of the sheets of metal. Now, this is also the sources of Hawking radiation outside of black holes.
This is interesting. Because things can pop in and out of existence, does this lead to anybody thinking that this would also operate in a system without space-time?
Yes. That is actually one of the that's
right. I'm pretty sure that's what I was talking about, right?
Yeah, you brought up Lawrence Krauss. That is his theory from nothing, essentially, which is that quantum fluctuations.
A system without space-time is not a system. That's a contradiction in terms.
Well, sure, but fuck you and your physics. You know what I meant, okay? You know what I meant.
Yeah. So that is essentially the process that Lawrence Krauss is describing when he's positing the idea that there can be something coming from not a philosophical nothing. A philosophical nothing does not make sense in the real world.
Right.
Philosophical nothing literally shouldn't even have a word for it.
But
it doesn't describe anything.
But so in between being inappropriate at work, Lawrence Krauss was able to write this book. He found the time.
Oh man, Lawrence Krauss does work at ASU, doesn't he?
Not anymore. Didn't he get
fired?
Not
anymore. He didn't get fired. He quit, and now he's doing
other
stuff and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, that sucks. I actually could have been able to meet him.
This is above my head, honestly, but I love hearing people correct each other. Yeah, I just.
So now you said, Jake, that none of this has any relevance to why you don't believe in God.
Correct. None of it. I don't need. I don't need any of that for that.
So why don't you believe in God?
Wait. What? I already said it doesn't make sense. You went to the Big Bang. I don't know.
All right, systemics. Correct me if I'm wrong, but earlier you were going to ask me something. What was there before the Big Bang? And again, correct me if I'm wrong, you were coming around to the idea that we don't know what happened. Now, this is what's known as in...
Leon, I'm sorry to keep interrupting you. You keep cutting out, and I'm having a hard time understanding you.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. I'm trying to...
Are you on your...
Not a lot that I can...
Yeah.
Hardwire and jack into the system.
I'm trying!
Hack it. I'm in. Oh no, I got sliced!
Well, while you fix that, Jake, can you explain to me what you were going to say?
Oh yeah, no, your claims just don't make sense from the point of view.
There's no evidence for it.
Right, so you're making a very specific claim, right? Like
No,
hold on.
Evidence to suggest that God doesn't exist.
Oh, come on.
Doesn't matter.
There's no evidence to suggest that Bigfoot doesn't exist, right? Come on, that's stupid. You know that's really, really dumb, right? This is no. Oh my fucking god. Okay, this is like literally Bab's first debate bullshit, right? This is like, so now I gotta use the teapot argument. You can't imagine that there's not, like, I could say that there's a teapot floating out in space and it's rotating around Earth, but it's invisible. And if you can't disprove the invisible teapot, then it's just real, right? That's what makes it real. Of course, that's not what makes it real. You know that's not what makes it real. And just saying that's faith. That's like obviously weak, right? Just saying I have faith. What if I have faith in Asatru? What if I have faith in Thor? Do you think that's enough proof for you to buy into my belief system? Of course not. You just said there wasn't proof. No. Stop. What kind of proof would you need for me to prove to you that Thor is worthy of your faith? That's the question you're asking me.
No, you're not wrong.
Right. So when you say this other thing, when you say those two arguments that you just made to me, it sounds super fucking ignorant. Like, and I've been doing this so long, I have no tolerance for those.
Do you want to know why I'm a person of faith?
Labor Wave Dashing, thanks. Sure, Trash Can, not you. Trash Can, thanks for being around to get that gifted to you. Yeah, why do you believe?
So I told you what I do. I actually do hospice work, so I help people die.
Right.
And 95 to 96% of my patients see people from the other side before they die, and you can say that that's just an imagination from their brain starting to shut down.
Okay.
Or anything we have actual like scientific data that we studied.
Yeah,
the fact that
we literally do have a scientific explanation for.
Okay, can you give me a source on that?
Yeah, absolutely. Why don't we find it?
I'm pretty sure you can.
Yep.
I think it's a phenomenon.
Yeah, it's a phenomenon that has to do with the different things that release into the brain. Often the visual cortex gets very, very stimulated right before death. You'll often have things that would normally show as a hallucination on a brain scan. That happens around death as well. Yeah. The brain is firing every neuron, including the memory and imagination. I mean, just literally, it's all of it. Yeah, that's also very anecdotal, right? So, like, if I say that every person that I've ever seen die has said that they see nothing on the other side, would you buy my argument?
There was an interesting paper release within the last year that showed that you can induce
NDEs.
Like, yeah, via
near-death experience. Yeah.
So we know exactly where they come from chemically.
And if Lee Sheep wants to talk about the brain for a second, I can drag you in too. Does anybody want to leave? You don't have to.
I'm cool with saying
I'm good.
All right. As long as we let Systemics talk, I'm fine with bringing a bunch of people in.
Totally.
Okay. So Lee Sheep, you want to talk about the brain for a second? Hi.
Hi guys.
Hello.
Welcome.
So Lee Sheep, I'm not trying to insult you. So where does your biological sources come from? Do you have a degree in biology?
I do. I've got a master's degree in biochemistry and molecular biology.
All right.
Nice.
Got a lot of intelligent people in here today. I'll just sit over here. Yeah, so explain.
I'm not a neuroscientist, however,
Sure.
but I could answer some questions.
Sure.
I need to turn you down. You're really, really loud. Hold on.
I do apologize.
Answer every single question science has about the human brain. Go.
Oh no. Is consciousness real?
So in regards to any of the biological aspects you've been hearing us talk about, in regards to the God question, Lee Sheep, what do you think right now?
Well, there were a couple of things I picked up on. So the most recent one was just talking about the brain, people dying.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Like, a lot of people don't realize, like, the point I wanted to make is a lot of people don't realize how unreliable the brain really is. Like, people take confidence in their sort of perception that they have this sort of continuous sort of view of reality, but it's really not the case. You've ever seen, like, something in the corner of your eye and then you've looked and there was nothing there? You know, it's not black and white. Like, your perception isn't perfectly reliable. And when you're dying, when you're someone whose body is, like, shutting down, like, that's, like, the worst time for it. So, of course, people hallucinate all kinds of stuff in that sort of state, right? I mean...
Yeah, and
correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, just to addend that, but false memories are also extremely easy to implant and manipulate.
And the other point I could make on that is that people who are living in, like, a Muslim country will see Allah, and people who are Buddhists will see whatever Buddhists see. You see my point here. There's no consistency to this.
We can pull it back to where your where your profession lies. You deal with mental illnesses. Like, the brain is not perfect. The brain is
you're totally right.
Right. And so why can we trust it when it's making hallucinations when people are dying?
Well, how do you know
Like,
it's a hallucination?
Well,
Because we can look at the brainwave patterns while people are dying,
if you
and
look
it
at brain
lines
dead,
up with people who are having hallucinations.
Brain Dead Vin
It
in
may
the,
be
in the
possible
chat
to
there,
detect that
in the
in an ideal
Discord.
scenario.
Yeah, in the Discord chat, there's an article from the
Wait,
conversation.
can I just make a point real quick
Yeah.
to back this up and kind of give a broader context?
Yeah.
Even if we didn't know where any of these things came from, if we didn't know anything about cosmology or biology or neurology, it was licensed to say that it was anything supernatural.
Right.
It's the fallacy from either ignorance or personal incredulity. Just depends how much we'll have information on it.
You ended up breaking up at the end there. It's either from ignorance or incredulity, and then nothing.
Yeah. And whichever one of those it is depends on who has what information.
This article is about near-death experiences. It's not about.
Well, yeah, but you can't really talk to someone that follows
death.
right that follows
are very
through
similar.
the death. Right, you can't talk to a dead person. They're dead now. You can talk to people that have near-death experiences because their body shuts off and they come back. Right. So we bring them back. What do you think God does with the souls that we cuck them with? Like what? Like,
what?
like the soul leaves the body. They die, so the soul leaves. Then we cuck him and we take the soul back, but with resuscitative medicines. Like, what do you think he does? He's like, fuck, not again. Curse you, modern medicine. Like what? Like, come on, man.
Wow.
Okay, so I have a question. About souls. Everybody has a soul, right?
Yay, dualism.
That is the belief, yes.
Okay. Okay. What about like brain dead people?
Do they have a soul?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, so what about brain dead people who've been brain dead their whole life?
What do you mean?
They were born
like anencephaly?
Stillborn.
Yeah, sure.
What the fuck was that?
Stillborns! Flavier's boyfriend, I
Thanks,
assume.
Sarah.
So are you acknowledging that a stillborn is a person?
A stillborn is a person? We're gonna talk about abortion all of a sudden? I don't want to do that.
No. I'm just saying. Are you acknowledging that a stillborn is a person?
A stillborn is, well, it depends on what stage, I guess. But yeah, I guess.
It's a vague definition.
Personhood is very strange, which is what we're getting into. But sure, definitely. Looks like one, sure. Looks like a little baby. Yeah, not necessarily a person. It depends.
Let's do an even more interesting.
Yeah,
let's do a more
personhood's
interesting case.
way crazy.
There's this thing where you sever the connection between the right half and the left half of the brain.
Oh yeah.
There are essentially two personalities that arise.
Oh, there was that name. What's that famous case with the guy got it?
Atticus Blake or some shit someone
like that?
Remember.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Jake.
Split brains.
There's just a couple too many people in this Discord channel because I'm having a hard time hearing over everyone.
Yeah.
That's fair.
So just something to keep in mind.
Who's leaving? Get out. I'm kidding.
We can all just be quiet.
Who the fuck
I'm sure
was
we
it?
can all respect each other.
Who was it? Anybody? Phineas Gage. Thank you, Phineas Gage. But
split brain or colossal syndrome. I see it on your Discord.
Yeah, I don't know what actually he had because it wasn't like a syndrome. He got had got fucking.
Yes, the connection.
Lobotomy.
Yeah, he got
no.
So I guess the idea here is someone's born without any sense of self whatsoever. What is that person like in heaven?
I'm sorry, I totally missed that. What?
So a person born without any sense of self, like doesn't have a frontal lobe, or just doesn't like there are people that are born without like most of their brain. It doesn't happen very often, but they actually do get born and can sustain what we consider to be a heartbeat in life and whatever. Like a person born without a sense of self, like that. What are they like?
Born without sapience.
What are they like? Yeah, born without sapience. Even beyond that, born without sentience. Yeah. What are they like in heaven?
Well, so
or hell, if you want to send them there.
Assuming that you believe that life doesn't begin at conception, which I do, which is a whole other conversation.
Okay, what is an aborted
When
fetus
does
like?
life begin at conception?
What is
I
an
will
aborted?
grant you that life is around at conception. Life, living things, is around at conception.
Personhood.
is not.
Personhood.
Yeah.
Where does it begin as well? I mean,
Is it a
sperm
sperm?
cell is alive, an egg cell is alive,
Yeah.
but they're not a one alive person. You put them together, and suddenly that's an alive person.
Guys,
Yeah,
I
whenever
have-
you jack off, are you committing mass genocide?
Jesus Christ! I have killed so many babies.
Yeah, exactly.
I have fucked a little
All right,
bit in
you
my
guys
time.
are starting to take this a little too far. And this is the conversation about civil discourse I was trying to have.
You don't wait. Do you think fucking is gross?
What? No.
Or jacking
No.
off is
But
gross?
You're saying, no. You're insinuating that life begins when you have an ejaculation.
I mean,
Well, no,
you
it's
could
not
say
that.
it, you
No,
could
it's
say
not
it like
that.
that and make me all uncomfortable. Ejaculations.
Are you
It's
saying
more about the
it-
fact that there is life within each of those sperm cells, and there
Are
is
you
life
saying-
within each ovum.
Are you saying
Can I
it
ask this?
Those things are
systematic
living
thought?
cells.
What is life? Because
Right. What do you
there
mean
is
by
like
life?
a life,
We're
and
going
then
too
there's like a
far out.
bacteria that is
We're going
alive.
too far out. We're going too far out.
Yeah. Anyway,
Do
so
you think it begins at conception? Is that the starting point? Is it conception?
personhood.
Yeah.
Is that where God
Personhood
shoves the soul
begin-
into it?
Personhood begins at conception.
Why is
Yes.
God
That-
okay
that's-
with aborting babies then?
Yeah.
This is where you say he's not. Oh, he left.
What?
Did he?
Did he
disconnect?
did he
died.
leave or just disconnect?
Did we cut down the wheat?
Every sperm.
We finally
I don't
managed.
feel like he rage quit on that.
Yeah.
No, I don't feel like
that-
he did either.
That doesn't sound like a
You
rage
think he
quit
just
moment.
disconnected?
Yeah.
Maybe his internet went out.
He's
Yeah,
back.
there he is.
Every
He's back.
sperm is
back?
He's back.
great.
Oh, I think you got. I just think you got
Yeah,
booted.
sorry. I just disconnected.
We got scared about
No
that.
problem.
So personhood starts in the womb. Okay. What was the question I asked, guys? What did I just say?
Why is God okay with aborting
Why
babies?
is God okay with
Yes.
aborting babies in the Bible? And then you're supposed to say no, he doesn't. And then I show you
Yeah,
where he
and
does.
what is it when you miscarry?
I mean, yeah, but like,
so-
so if God's okay with abortion in some scenarios, do you agree?
God is okay with abortion in some.
Yeah.
God is not okay with abortion in any scenario, which
Or-
is exactly what you
this
said
is
that I
this
was
is-
going to say.
Right, of course you were going to.
Correct.
So what about bitter?
Was it Numbers?
drink
Are you going to go to Numbers 5, 11 through
Bible?
30?
Probably, I don't know. Ordeal of the bitter water? No. Is it,
Yeah.
5. Yeah. That's the one.
Yeah, that's the ordeal of the
Yeah.
Bible.
And he's like, yeah, if she's unfaithful, you can abort the baby, dude. What's wrong with
Yeah.
that? So sometimes he's okay with abortion.
If it's not if you're not married to the person that you
Right,
have baby with,
Yeah. And if she says that I cheated, if she says I cheated, then she drinks the water and you can abort the baby. If she says she didn't treat,
and then
if
he's
she
okay with murder.
if she drinks the water and then doesn't have an abortion, then she was faithful. But if she does, there's a coin flip involved. Then it will be aborted, and then she was unfaithful. Like, doesn't that
and I
sound
feel
like
like the more fucked up thing is that after that he's okay with the murder because
right? So
the unfaithful women are stoned to death.
this is after the 10 Commandments.
What's even more messed up is that neither of those two things are connected remotely causally.
Yeah, some smart ass water. So yeah, this is my question. So like, you were obviously incorrect, right? So, and you already knew what I was gonna say. So why would you back what?
So is the Lord? So okay, repeat what your question was again.
Is the Lord is God okay with abortions from time to time?
And so I said no, and then you quoted Numbers.
And he is.
His book.
He quoted the Bible.
Are you talking about the handful of water and the curse?
Yeah.
I mean, I can read it. Do you want me to read it?
I mean, it's a pretty vague interpretation, but okay.
It's not really vague at all. I can
It
read it.
seems-
What
Go ahead,
what
go ahead and
version of
read
the
it.
Bible would you like?
Do it in the
NIV, New Testament.
the new IV. Do the new IV.
The NIV Numbers 5. I'll just do number 5 because it's right at the beginning. Boop, boop, boop. I used to have it in here, but my Bible study stuff is at the other studio. The test for an unfaithful wife. 5:11. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Speak to the Israelites and say to them, if a man's wife goes astray and is unfaithful to him so that another man has sexual relations with her, and this is hidden from her husband, and her impurity is undetected since there is no witness against her, and she has not been caught in the act, and if feelings of jealousy come over the husband, and he suspects his wife, and she is impure, or if he is jealous and suspects her even though she is not impure, then he is to take the wife to the priest. He must also take an offering of a tenth of an ephah of a barley flour and a fat, blah, 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 blah. He must not pour olive oil on it or put incense on it, because it is a grain offering for jealousy, a reminder offering to draw attention to wrongdoing. The priest shall bring her and have her stand before the Lord. Then he shall take some holy water in a clay jar, put some dust on it from the tabernacle floor into the water. After the priest has had the woman stand before the Lord, he shall loosen her hair and place her hands place in her hands the remainder offering, the grain offering for jealousy, while he himself holds the bitter water that brings a curse. Then the priest shall put the woman under oath and say to her, if no other man has had sexual relations with you, and you have not gone astray and become impure while married to your husband, may this bitter water that brings a curse not harm you. But if you have gone astray while married to your husband, and you have made yourself impure by having sexual relations with a man other than your husband, here the priest is to put the woman under a curse. May the Lord cause you to become cursed among your people when he makes your womb miscarry and your abdomen swell. May this water that brings a curse enter your body so that your abdomen swells and your womb miscarries." I can continue, but I think you get the gist, right? He's forcing a miscarriage, which is an abortion. I mean, this is just what you get when you read the Bible, right? So, I don't know why you're laughing. That's the test for an unfaithful wife, abortion. It's okay in this circumstance, right? Not in rape, right? Not in marital rape or systems where children have kids, or when the woman is suffering and might die. Only in cases of unfaithfulness, which makes him less moral, which again is...
And there are several instances of just flat-out incest in the Bible. And
right, of course. Yeah.
Also, I find it interesting that the direct reading of that is only if feelings of jealousy come over the husband.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. If he knows that you had a baby with someone else, is it biblically okay if he doesn't get jealous for you to just have that?
He's a very progressive Israelite. So,
well, let's look at the context. Wasn't it more polygyny type scenario back then?
So they didn't. So it wasn't polygamy necessarily.
It was more like women were property.
Yeah. So they would typically have, if they didn't have multiple wives, they would have, depending on
concubines.
Yeah, concubines, but not, but just women that would have babies, right? Not necessarily actually a concubine, but like literal walking birth pods. So, and sometimes they would just go buy slaves and do that. Sometimes they would just get concubines. Sometimes they'd have multiple wives. Yeah, and in the case of unfaithfulness, God is okay with an abortion. So do you think like that's reasonable for God to do? Because I think you probably would say yes, because you have to agree with God. Because that's an abortion. I mean, we just agree, right?
A forced miscarriage is an abortion.
Yes. What do you think? Wait. What do you? Yes. What do you think? What do you think a chemical abortion is? It's a forced miscarriage. Yeah.
Technically, C-section is an abortion because abortion is whenever you interrupt a pregnancy.
Yeah. Interruption of
C-section.
Pregnancy is an abortion.
Abortion. It's important to note that abortion is not synonymous with the fetus dying.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
where should we go from here, Systemics?
I do we need to, or
is this cut and dry? Or we're gonna have some issues.
No. I'm reading the passage on his screen.
We read it out together as a family.
I know. I was typing to somebody on Discord. I'm sorry.
There you go. I'll give you the link, and yeah. I mean, it basically repeats it because it's numbers, right? More about drinking the water and scroll, and if she has made herself impure and been unfaithful to her husband, then this will be the result. When she is made to drink the water, it brings curse and causes bitter suffering. It will enter her abdomen will swell, and her womb will miscarry. It just repeats it. because it's important to remember, and this is. Guys, watch the Bible Reloaded. It's important to remember that at the time, the Hebrews used
self-promotion.
The Hebrews used oral tradition to pass down these stories. So there's a lot of repetition in the old stuff, the Old Testament, like the Torah, because repetition leads to memorization. So. It'd be shit like that. So it's mostly an oral tradition that they ended up writing down when language became more available and easier to take down. Similar to like Homer epics and stuff like that. It was very oral.
Specifically when the Persians decided that they were going to be a part of them now, and so they needed to submit their religion so they could be recognized as one. The Persians would be like, okay, convert.
And Verizon didn't cover the area at the time, so
very true.
It was very oral, giggity.
And once again, routing back to the main thread, does this have anything to do with the existence of a supernatural?
It doesn't necessarily. I just, like, if you could poke holes in the Bible, it immediately, like, oh, that person goes, interesting, I didn't know that about this. Like, for instance, the stuff about Noah's Ark. You definitely don't know Noah's Ark if you say 2 by 2, right? So, like, it's just stuff that you didn't know you didn't know. And I think it's interesting.
It is stuff that I didn't know. And the thing is, going back to the people are being formed at conception. So it starts with like the nature versus nurture argument. Okay, so genetics, genes are formed at conception, correct?
Sure.
Sort of.
What do you mean, sort of?
Well, genetics is more complicated than just your one strand of DNA or multiple strands of DNA as it is. Mm-hmm. But we'll go with your basic genome is going to be assembled.
Let's keep it simple.
Yeah.
Let's not be semantical.
Semantical? Wait, is that a word? Semantical?
Let's not be semantic.
I don't know. I actually don't know. Hold on.
Semantical.
Semantical.
I hope it's.
I think you're right. I just don't usually hear it a lot.
It's just a weird word.
Yeah. So, are we talking about when life begins? Because, like,
again, we'll go back to the point where everything is living cells up until the point where they even make a zygote.
The point where personhood begins is a little more important, and we're gonna have to talk about basic personhood because I don't think a 2-year-old's like a person, right? So we're not killing 2-year-olds, right? I think at the time, and most people agree, unless it's for a medical reason that we'll save the baby, the mother, or there's other complications. Most people are like, well, don't just willy-nilly abort like a 8-month fetus, right? But if we don't keep those protections in for women, there are many cases where women are forced to have babies they don't want to have because they didn't find out until it was after the arbitrary limit that we set. They were maybe in cases where they got pregnant by an abuser and couldn't escape the situation until 6, 7, 8 months in. At which point, most people advise, like, we can do a C-section and we can put it up for adoption and stuff. But there are, although I think adoption, like, if you're pro-life, you better be fucking adopting, dude. I think that's shitty if you don't. So,
no, I am pro-life, and the thing is, I don't have unprotected sex. I use birth control.
And you could still get pregnant.
You still can't get pregnant, and if I got a woman pregnant, I would, and it would be something that I would never ask the woman to have an abortion, and I'd encourage her not to.
Sure, but it's since neither of us can have children, I don't necessarily think our bodily autonomy is important here, right? So it's a.
So you think it's a woman's choice?
I don't think it's a woman's choice. It just literally is a woman's choice.
It just is.
But it takes more than more than one person to have a child.
It takes not necessarily. That's not true.
I mean, in the conventional sense.
Sure. I mean, if you want to do your Christian missionary sex, sure.
You can, but it's not. It's not necessary.
Right. And I mean, to be fair, people that are getting like in vitro and shit or using turkey basters aren't necessarily looking for abortions anyway. But this is it's a protection that needs to be open, and no one's using this as a prophylactic, right? They're expensive. Like, I don't know if you ever looked for an abortion, but they can. I've never gotten one with a partner either. But Plan B, definitely. Plan B is way more affordable. Condoms are more affordable. Birth control is more affordable. All these things, no one's using this as like a means of protection, right? People use this as a last line of defense against.
But I think some people use abortion as a form of birth control.
No one does that. Literally, who has the fucking
nobody?
What kind of people do you think get pregnant most? Like what economic stratosphere do you think get pregnant most?
Oh, I'm worried about this one.
Economic stratosphere?
Yeah. The answer is the poors, but you can have whatever opinion you want.
To pretend that people...
It's the poors.
To pretend that people get abortions because they... just for population control or whatever, or birth control, is to ignore the ridiculously huge neurological and physiological impact that kind of decision has on a woman.
Yeah. Same with transgenderism.
I think people have a conscious decision to have sex, and there's consequences for having sex.
Not if they aren't actively participating in the consent.
That's a totally different conversation.
So, are you okay with an abortion in the case of rape?
Absolutely.
What makes it morally better for you? You're still killing a baby. You okay with killing babies?
in the sense of rape, absolutely.
I mean, I'm okay with killing all the babies in general all the time anyway.
Rape baby's still a baby.
In a video game!
Jay!
I'm curious that you think a human soul forms when the sperm and egg meet. But if that came about because of a rape, then that soul's not valid anymore.
Right.
You know?
Okay, so the reason this is unethical to have a what you call a pro-life stance is I mean, there's lots of it, but the first step to me is that we see in studies, and this is like irrefutable, poor people have illegitimate children more often. This is due to a myriad of factors, much of which has to do with the fact that there's more poor people than there are not poor people, and there's less to do, right? So like you fuck a little bit more, and thirdly, and this is most important, poor usually coincides with low education. Typically because, especially in the United States, we assign property taxes to school systems, and that's how we fund our schools. And if you have a bunch of poor people, they're not going to be able to fund a school as much because their property taxes are lower. And so you get lower quality schools, and it just repeats the cycle until they literally just have like no options. And it's just a shitty school or no school at all. Schools close all the time in public areas that are very rural or poor. And so what you have is a bunch of people that don't actually know about the human body. They don't know necessarily the repercussions. You say people know the repercussions, but we're coming from a place of you know, pretty high amounts of privilege here to be able to say we're educated, we know biology, you have a master's degree, I went to school.
I grew up in the Deep South. People around here do not know jack.
Right.
So...
Where's the clitoris?
You know what? I found the clitoris after weeks of study.
I've never even been with a woman, so.
Well anyway, it's at the tip of the penis. So
it's deep in there.
It's
keep looking
deep. Oh Jesus! Don't go deep. Okay. So So
look, if someone wants me to sound them, I'm not going to say no.
Motherfuck. So when you say like, oh, you know what you're getting into when you have sex, you and I do.
No, I'm saying that there's consequences for having sex. I'm not talking about education. I'm saying that there's consequences.
Okay, but do you think that it's reasonable to expect the proper outcomes, and I say proper from a societal aspect, right? What our ideal expectations would be for a society? Would you expect a lowly educated populace to make the right decision in regards to that?
Well, I mean, it just depends.
Not, right?
I mean, why don't we murder people that are in a vegetative state?
We should definitely murder them if that's what you consider murder.
That does happen.
Yeah,
turning off life support for them.
Terry Schiavo needed to be let go. Like you need to.
Those aren't people.
They don't have like thoughts, right? I'm fine if there's like if you have a coma patient and there's like a percentage chance or whatever that they're going to return to normal functioning. I'm fine with that, right? But if someone literally like there's a 0% chance, like Terry Schiavo is a great case. I don't know how old you are, but you have a master's degree. I'm assuming you're roughly my age, in the 30s or late 20s. And so
I'm in my late 20s.
Yeah. So you remember Terry Schiavo when we were young, the Florida case where she was in a vegetative state. The husband wanted to let her go and give her a proper funeral. Her parents wanted her to stay alive. I think it was after like a car accident, or she fell downstairs or some shit, or she just had like a thing. I can't actually remember what happened to her. But and there was a battle about this. This is like again, we've been over this shit. Like, if you don't have a brain and function there, you're not you anymore.
Hashtag vegetable lives matter, Jake.
You are the meat that looks like you used to be. That's it. That's all. And honestly, she changed quite a bit physically speaking. So I mean, like, it's just meat, and like, it looks like a person, and maybe from an emotional standpoint that can be hard. And I totally empathize with that kind of thing, man. I sympathize with people like this. I've had grandparents go mentally, and they're never coming back, and like, you got to make a decision. This happens. Thank you, Cassowary. I appreciate you. But like to say that it's murder to take them off life support, that's like not the case.
It's systemic stuff with dying people. You must know what like a do not resuscitate order is.
Right. A DNR, yes.
Yeah. Right. So are you murdering people by proxy by listening to their wishes?
Just a gorilla.
Of course
not. Murdering
not.
people by proxy by listening to their wishes? No.
Of course not. Right.
Right, so if someone had laid out, like, in a will that they'd written earlier in their lives, that if they ever were discovered brain dead, that they wanted to be taken off of life support.
Yeah, and
that's not murdering them, is it?
But yeah, but that's called a choice. People have a choice in that aspect. Just like
right, but once they're brain dead, they don't have the ability
make choices
to make
anymore.
Any more choices.
It's literally heartbeat, right?
Not everyone signs.
So we should make that choice for them?
Yeah, what are you talking about?
They're dead.
They're dead. What do you think makes a person? Their brain? Like, if you scoop someone's brain out, are they still a person?
What qualifiers do you ascribe to
dualist.
personhood?
Systemics is dualist because they indicated that they believed in a soul. So when someone's brain died, does the soul stay there? That is an important question that we need to tackle if you are
a mind-body dualist. I would assume the soul is there.
I would assume the soul is there as well. I mean, as long as your body
So then
is
when does
life.
The soul leave?
So, but the thing is, brain dead is it doesn't mean that your brain doesn't function. It means that the signals in your brain aren't getting the electronic firing signals from the neurons.
So it doesn't function then?
Then it doesn't function properly. It doesn't mean you're dead.
It does mean
it means you're dead for all intents and purposes.
That is medically
if you
dead.
cannot restart the brain, which
no
to be fair,
one
we
comes
have
back
sometimes.
from brain death.
Like, you do realize that we are like our brains, right?
No one comes back from brain death.
Nobody. It's never
That
happened.
is what medically dead means.
Yeah.
I
your
understand
brain
that.
is no
I'm just
longer-
saying, should we make the choices for them if they haven't made it previously?
Okay, so if your brain was alive but your heart wasn't beating, you would be alive. If you could only be a head in a jar, you would be alive. If you could only be a brain, if you could only download that intellect and be put into a robot body, you would still be alive. But once you stop being able to think, you're dead. That's it.
Yep.
You don't need the heart. I mean, you need it, but you don't need it to be alive. You, the person you are, is mostly located in your frontal lobe, but you need the rest of it to kind of coalesce to make the you that you are. And, like, if you don't have that, even if you're a dualist, and even if you believe in a soul, you're gone. You're never going to be you again. That's it. And you're not going to feel anything.
So now, before people interrupt, I do have to go in about 5 minutes. It's almost 1 a.m., and I do want to get a good night's rest, so...
Can I just say the quintessential problem you've got here is that you're trying to apply like this stop and start thing, this sort of defined thing of a soul being made and then like leaving the body at the end of the day to what is actually basically a continuous process. There isn't really like a beginning to life. I mean, yes, you know, things come together and then they grow into more complex and etc. etc.
So when does life begin then?
There isn't an answer to that question. That's my point.
So is this just all a facade?
Yes.
No, I mean, you could say that life began with the very first organism, and ever since then, we're all just iterations of that.
Life is
life began way back then, and it's never stopped. There's one way of looking.
Life is merely a label we ascribe to different chemical processes that occur.
It's a way to make sense of the world. That's the issue with like religion to my
And
aspect.
furthermore, even if we didn't know, again, there is no evidence positively indicative of including a soul. So
right. I mean, That's really what it boils down to me for, right? But I also think that maybe this sounds bleak to you, but I would toss this out since you have to leave pretty soon. I would toss out that the fact that we have a limited time of consciousness and being ourselves, that our lives are more valuable than they are with a soul. Because the indefinite existence, like the eternal existence of ourselves, makes our value
Think of it from
extremely low. It's an economics question.
And you know what? I can respect that.
Scarcity begets value.
And so I guess it all goes back to, so what I tell people is that people ask me why do I believe in God and why do I believe in a soul, and it's from my experiences when I look up and I think about the universe and how everything in the world works pretty perfectly if you take humans out of the equation.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't that point straight to naturalism anyway? because of
then
course,
why are we here?
Because of
Does
naturalism.
there have to be a reason?
Because
That's the wrong question to ask. Any W question assumes, such as like if you ask why, you're assuming a reason exists.
Unless you mean what is the mechanism by which our existence was propagated.
Well, and so what I was going to say is, I said if I'm wrong about believing in God, there's no harm done to me when I die.
Oh, don't Pascal's wager.
Uh-oh.
Come on, bro. I've been doing this for almost a decade. Come with the new stuff.
No,
At least use Kalams or something. Christ.
If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. There's no consequences for it.
There is the actual consequences are that it frames your worldview in this limited time that you have to exist, and it makes your life have more negative experiences to it because you can't do some of the things that you ought to be able to do with your own life. And you may call them hedonistic sins and shit like that, but I mean, like, there are lots of people that are Christian that like deny their own sexuality because of this. And you are a Republican, you vote for these things based on faith, and I'm sure abortion you're probably pretty close to a single issue voter,
and that affects everyone around you, policy-wise.
And so it affects everyone around you negatively. And so, because from a naturalistic point of view, and frankly the correct point of view, even from a deistic perspective, right? Just naturalism in general. Even if you're a theist, a naturalist theist, it's the correct point of view because all the science and all the evidence points towards naturalism. Like, are you a young Earth creationist?
No.
Okay, so you're an old Earth creationist at least. So you believe in the Big Bang as well. This is weird. So you believe in like the Earth is billions of years old.
I believe in a certain version of the Big Bang, but
sure. But the only version of the Big Bang is that God's finger is behind it, making it go boom boom. That's literally the only difference. But what's the reason behind that? Literally nothing, right?
Well, you could say that faith is a comfort for death. You can say that.
I mean, it is, but like, why have it?
Why not?
Comfort has no bearing on.
Right, because it's literally it's an argument from feelings, and it's not, and that doesn't make it a good one, right? That's you said you adore Ben Shapiro. That he would, I mean, he's also religious, and
that's a whole different.
He falls into the shit too. No, but I know, but this is feelings over facts, right? This is literally just saying, well, it makes me feel warm and fuzzy inside, so therefore it's valid.
That's not why I'm religious. That's not why I'm religious.
No, but that's the argument you just gave me, though. Like it makes me feel good in regards to death.
No. I said people can argue that faith is a comfort for death.
Do you argue it's not?
No, I mean, it's not for me. I mean, I'm not afraid of dying.
Because of faith?
I'm just saying that's another popular argument for people that are people of faith.
I know, and it's not a good argument. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's a shitty argument.
Dying. I'm afraid of dying. I'm not afraid of death, but I'm afraid of dying.
Dying sounds like it sucks.
Yeah.
Bad balls. Bad
10 out of 10 people die, so get ready.
Well, yeah, obviously, but
I disagree. No, I'm just gonna be the brain in the jar that lives forever.
Dude, I want a robot bod. That'd be dope.
I'm not afraid of death because it's probably I'm resurrected into like a Boltzmann brain or something.
Well, anyways, thank you guys for having me. I
want to give a hot take before you go. I really
One hot take.
I've been sitting on it for the whole time. I think the main issue I have with religion is why I'm not religious. Is that there is a constant need to have a no. There's a constant need to have an easy no about an easy answer. God made it. We have a divine right to be here. We have a divine right to stay alive. And my issue is that I like there's a beauty in the unknown. There's a beauty in we don't know why
That's
we're
what
here. We don't know why there's so many
does,
planets.
yeah.
We don't know why we were made. We don't know why the universe was made. I like that. I like that we're kind of inconsequential, and that makes our personal earthly worries much more human, much more you know what I'm saying? That's why I like it. That's why I like atheism. I don't get religion in that.
And that's the thing is, if somebody can come up with a good challenge,
Sure.
that absolutely, I'm all for it. I'm all for listening to other people's perspectives.
You should come on back because I don't think you're going to be a Republican or a Christian for long.
Okay.
At least not a Republican. At least not a Republican.
I think I can get both.
You are too
I get both often enough to
externally
where
liberal.
I could be pretty confident here.
You are too performatively liberal for that shit.
That's true, and that's not a bad thing, by the way.
You're internally Republican. It's insane.
you are internally Republicists.
Republicists.
You gonna be woke soon, bro.
That really sounds like a threat.
Someone said a really great thing. You can leave if you want, Systemics. You don't have to stick around for my prattling.
Yeah,
but,
thanks for coming on.
No, go ahead. I'd like to
do
hear what you have to
appreciate.
say before I go.
Literally, it was just someone. Have you ever read The Stranger by Camus?
No, but I've heard of it.
Good ass book. But someone, combat tech support wrote, "Smoke cigarette, talks in French accent." I can't talk in a French accent, so it's just gonna be terrible. Well, you see, none of us can die because we are already dead. Nothing truly exists. All is nothing. That's some edgy Camus shit right there. That is a good book, though. The Stranger is a good book.
Simulation.
Get the one with the spikies. The Stranger book. Get the spiky one because the other translations are bad. Where's it at? This one right here, guys. It's only $4. Okay, get this version by Albert Camus. It's really good.
If you want to have me back, I should have some free time coming up this week.
Come on back whenever you like. I'm always
I've got
here.
You followed.
Yep, always here. Always down for conversations. I
my
talk for
Prime
everybody.
Today, so sorry. Otherwise, I'd give it to you.
It's okay. Someone else gave you a. I think it was Dan Rossi, gifted you a sub earlier anyway, so you're good to go.
It doesn't show up on my.
I thought.
Nope.
I could be wrong. It could have been somebody else.
No, you got Twitch Prime. It says.
I thought it was you that
No.
Oh,
No.
It was Rail Roberto. Shit. No, it was Rail Roberto.
My bad.
Rail Roberto is other wheat, isn't it?
That was the real wheat. This is just like more gluten.
Yeah.
Gluten is a step down, I think. Gluten's good. Yeah. Gluten's good. We like.
I
gluten
like reading the chat, seeing people. He won't be back.
Dude, that happens to me all the fucking time. People don't like their shit. People don't like their shit questioned, man. People are very uncomfortable with that, and I totally get it.
Because people become comfortable with what they believe in. As I said,
absolutely.
I'm willing to hear other people's perspectives. Absolutely, and that goes back to the original transgender argument. The conversation we were having earlier.
Just transgender. It's fine, man.
Am I left/socialist? I'm pretty left. I'm a Dem sock. Right?
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but I'm probably a little left of Dem sock, but
Dem sock.
Yeah.
No. I'm just your standard bread, milk toast.
Well, cheers. Have a great rest of your evening, everyone. It was a pleasure.
Too.
Yeah, you too, buddy.
Yeah,
have a good one.
Good to talk to you.
What is the gluten's tag in here? I have no idea. Down with capitalism. Fuck.
That guy fucking sucked. What a fucking idiot.